Hello, I've got a very simple Valentine's design to put together today, but it's lifted a bit by a couple of little twists that make it slightly different to what you may have seen before. We're going to base it around this foil balloon here that has the sort of paint splash across the middle, and we're going to take that through into the rest of the design. We'll start by creating a base for it all to go on, and I'm going to be using the 5-inch Sempertex Reflex Gold and 5-inch Sempertex Reflex Crystal Red, and then also the Sempertex Crystal Red, Reflex Crystal Red Heart, which is a beautiful thing, and it's nice to be able to use those so well. So we'll start off with a simple base. I'm going to air inflate some 5-inch balloons, take them nice and big, give them a bit of a squash. With the reflex ones you can oversize them quite significantly, so we're actually going to size them to 5 inches, and we'll use 4 of those. Tie into a duplicate. And then the next duplicate will have 1 Reflex Gold and 1 Reflex Crystal Red. Like so. Okay. Into a duplicate and twist together to make your cluster of 4. We're going to need a little bit of weight to anchor the whole thing. So here I've got another 5-inch Reflex Gold, into which I've put a few glass marbles just to give it a little bit of weight. You can use sand, water, any small weight that you happen to have, but I do quite like using the marbles because you can adjust the weight accordingly. Pull that into the middle of the cluster there, wrap it around a couple of times to secure it, tie it off. We're going to sit another cluster on the top of that we're going to size to 4 inches, same colour combination. So nice and big. Now, the difference with this cluster is that the Crystal Red one is not going to be a 5-inch balloon, it's going to be the 16-inch heart. So I'll just prepare its other half, and then we'll move into the hearts. So, with the hearts are tricky at the best of times. And one of the things you could do to make it a little easier, there's a weak point here, that's why they're a bit tricky. If you give them a good stretch the ears first, so that you've softened it up a little bit, then it will inflate more easily. It is a good idea to actually use a sizer for these until you're a bit more familiar with them. I'm going to air fill it first. Okay. There we go, that inflated beautifully and really easily because of that initial stretch. So that's softening it a little bit. I want to add an attachment point here. So I'm going to do that with the raisin twist method. So I'll let that down. And I'm going to use another balloon. You can just use a scrap of balloon if you happen to have one, but I don't, so I'm going to use a fresh one. Tie a couple of knots in it to create a little bubble there, and remove anything that you don't need. So we've just got this little ball of latex. I'm also going to keep the neck, the very tip of the end of the neck there, like that, like an elastic band. and drop that into the balloon and shake it down so that it falls into one of the lobes of the heart, and get it right on the tip of the lobe of the heart. Stretch the latex as tight as you can around that little bobble, and then use your neck roll to wrap it tightly around several times to trap that, like so. And that will give us an attachment point for later on. Now we can inflate the balloon again, a little bit more carefully this time, because obviously we've compromised it slightly. There we go. So there's our heart. Still looks exactly the same, but now we've got that little bit of extra that we can use to tie other things to. Tie it off, and then we're going to give it a gold swoosh. So for that, I have some artist's acrylic paint. You can use any acrylic paint you like, but the better quality, the higher opacity that you use, the better results you will get. This is metallic gold, of course, and a big paintbrush. I'm not going to take the swoosh across, I'm going to bring it up from the base of the balloon. So get your paint, put a generous amount around the knot, like so, and then use your paintbrush to drag it up the balloon, like so. Don't overspread it, because it will get thinner as you work it. Just a few strokes to get the effect you want, and you get that really rather nice effect of the gold streaks on the balloon. Do the same on that side and copy it again. Now obviously this is going to take a little bit of time to dry, so I've done one earlier and allowed it to dry. I'll just put that there for the moment, and remember to put the top back on the paint. So here's one that I prepared earlier and have allowed to dry. I painted it all the way around, and you can actually see that as the paint dries it becomes more intense. Tie that to your other 5-inch balloon, wrap it into a cluster of 4, and then we're going to sit it on top of the earlier cluster by pulling one of the necks up through the middle and wrapping. I want the attachment point to be this way. Okay, I'm going to add a few more little extra bits into the base here. So some 5-inch crystal red. I want them really rather small, so I'm going to squish the air right into the top so that the colour, the intensity of the colour is preserved, and tie them tight against the inflated part so that we've got a nice long neck. Another one of those. And then tie them close against the neck roll, and that will give us a nice amount of stretch between them, which means that we can tuck them in through here to give us a little bit of extra red detail. I think we'll have one more of a pair of those. When you're tying balloons really tightly and you want a very small knot, Don't pull it like this because you can damage the inflated part, put little friction tears in. If you need to get a really tight knot, put your finger and thumb between the neck and the knot, pinch and pull that to push the knot tight without putting stress on the inflated part. So we'll do that again. Let it down to the size we want, squish the air into the top, give it a twist and a knot, and then finger and thumb there, pull tight, and then your balloon won't deflate. And we can sit one here and one round there. Going to put some red roses, silk red roses, just 3 of them, but you can use as many or as few as you like, obviously. I've just taped them together here with some stretchy balloon tape, which holds them together firmly and also protects, covers up any sharp ends from the wire, which means that we can then safely tuck them into the middle of the design like that, and a couple of odd leaves that we can tuck in. Let me turn that around so I can see where we're going with this, because I want to add a bow of ribbon. This is just simple organza ribbon that I've tied around with some curling ribbon, and I'm going to tuck that into here. Just secure it by wrapping the ribbon through the centre of the cluster like so, and then any protruding ends you can curl to add a little bit of extra detail there. Put that leaf in like so. So that's the base of it completed. I'm going to take one 5-inch reflex gold and place it large, let it down to about 3 inches or so, doesn't matter, but small, and tie it loosely so that there's a bit of space there, so it's really squashy. And then I can pinch that in half, because if you want some really small bubbles, often it is better to create them from a single balloon by twisting it in half than trying to inflate 2 really small ones and get them into a duplicate. So we'll do that again with the red one, a bit smaller this time. Tie it loosely so it's nice and squashy. Squash the neck down through the centre, twist, and use the neck to wrap around and tie off, and that way it will stay together. We can then twist those to form a cluster of 4. And then we can tie some ribbon around the attachment point. Simple knot, and it's beyond me. There we go, that's got it. Tie that nice and firmly around that attachment point, and we can disguise where it's tied with our little cluster. Like so. I'm going to then inflate the foil balloon with helium. Okay. I have another small bow prepared here, which I will tie around the neck, so I'm going to roll it up, tie the bow around the neck, give just a little bit of detail. You can't add an awful lot of weight to a standard foil, but a very lightweight ribbon like this is fine. Goodness me. That's got it. Tie that nice and firmly. Decide how high you want it to fly. We won't take it too high. I think that's probably enough there. And use the two ends of ribbon again just to tie around there. Once again, curling these if they need any extra curl, which on this occasion I don't think they do. We can trim that so that that matches this and everything ties together, and there we have it. It's a very simple, very basic design, but the use of the heart at an angle and the gold paint just gives it a little bit of extra, and therefore a little bit of extra value to your customer.